not necessarily the ones that you've been involved with, but I know that some of them are run very well, and they put a certain percentage towards admin and things like that, which of course is needed. But there's others. I mean, I've done some research on some of them, like they give 1% to the charity or 3%. And
Yeah.
it's when you see hard earned money, or there was other stuff like they send out the letters with all, maybe like say, especially now coming up to Christmas time, send out all the cards, and it costs them like 80%, but they actually have a gain, so they keep doing it. But I see that as a major waste, and it's a strange one. But like for those that are kind of trying to give their hard-earned money, how should, like, I suppose in the States, like what's the best way that they can navigate it to know that it's not run by a fraudulent kind of non-profit?
Mm, good question. And I want to ask you back because I think, you mentioned like in the United States how we think about it, but to add your global perspective, but I also know you're very passionate about kind of these types of questions. I think one way, and I would assume that this would work in a lot of places, is ask the question, where is my money going? When I make this donation, where does that go? And with that, I think also considering organizations that you're passionate about that you can build a relationship with so that you've also not just can ask that question, but that you can see the impact of that. So, you mentioned flyers, right? We all get those, we all get our emails. Where are you wanting to orient, right? Is it somewhere close to home that you can actually see where your donation's going? You can engage with that group. So those might be two ways to think about it. In the United States, there is also reporting, so you can kind of dig into nonprofit financials and have some visibility there. Now, does that get to the literal marketing, the flyer and the cost of that and the return on that? No, but you can kind of see the comings and goings of where the major investments and major output is going. So those might be, three considerations. I love the question because I also think it sits in the intent of what you're also trying to achieve. I think that meaning I'm giving somewhere because I want to have an impact. And I think it's important to ask questions because the more you're involved, the more, right, you're likely not just to connect with the mission and purpose, but whether you're giving $1, $5, $10, and it goes somewhere impactful, that's I think part of the journey that is a powerful one.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. How else would you kind of think about that question, both in maybe your personal experience, but also I know you're again passionate on the fraud and
There,
related.
I forget the name of, but there was a website that actually showed all the stuff, and I remember when I was researching, it was like Lady Gaga raised 1.8 million and gave 5,000, and the Clinton Foundation, like there's Irish governments were, billionaires giving money. That it was like 3% is what they were doing, and irrespective of people's belief on whether they're left or right, because I know that happens in some countries, people shouldn't care about that, and it's kind of knowing. And even there was a university in Warsaw, kind of like a private one, and they were doing stuff in Africa, and they were putting in water, and there was excess water that they could actually give to the community. And the kind of councillors or whatever weren't happy about that because they weren't able to charge people. And, it's kind of like if it's taking money out of someone's hand with the good that you're doing, sometimes there's more work needed to kind of clear the decks for those that are kind of manipulating the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd add to that where I don't know if you have something similar. We have a platform called GoFundMe, which is where people can contribute dollars to a cause. And you definitely seen some of those things. Maybe a traumatic event happens and these shadow donation groups show up. So I would assume like a lot of fraud, they pull on, the emotional side of things. So I would definitely watch out for those things. And maybe the flip of that is we're talking about nonprofits and also leadership. One of the things that I've been talking to a lot of people about is community. Just with a lot that's going on in the world, I think a lot of people are asking like, where can I contribute? Right, maybe big question. And perhaps this is kind of that inspiration of, well, when you think about your community, where are you spending your time? Where are you donating? And maybe this is a call to say, how are you learning about those nonprofits or spaces near you that you can connect with, that that you also know is safe, where you can have impact that's just meaningful, but something that you're also a part of. So that way, when X flyer or random donation link comes your way, you could say, I'm already contributing locally, or I'm contributing to a cause that, matters to me and the people in my community.